Listen, we're talking about today. There's a post I saw recently, right? And it was something that rang so true because I've heard the conversation come up before, and primarily was saying it was from one female who posted, if we're not married, why would I give a child I carried? And a lot of I's in there, you know what I mean? There's no I in team. Apparently there is, right? So a child I carried for 9 months, your last name. Why? How? Right? That was her statement. That was her question. And somebody else, I won't say responded, but replied, chimed in, chorused, echoed her sentiment, saying, if we're not married, it's my, in uppercase, it's my child. And I don't have to give my child that I carried for 9 months the last name of a man who ain't my husband. He's just the father. Keyword there, just. So minimizing, marginalizing what the role of a father is. He's just the father. And there's no long ties to him. Even if we're married, they're talking about the ties now from you, the mom, right? There's no long ties from you, the mom, to him. But there's an eternal tie from the child to him. Even if we're married, and listen to this part. She says, even if we're married, I don't need to give my kid my husband's last name. It's 2021. That's what she said. She said, even if we are married, I don't need to give my kid my husband's last name. It's 2021. Apparently, evolution has changed and subsidized and, you know what I mean, just boom, totally sideswept morality and all them things, right? It's crazy. Kiki's back in the office working. Whoo, after working from home, I wish I didn't have to come back to this. I know the feeling. I know the feeling. No, ladies, you know, I love asking the questions of the ladies when in these things, and I also love asking the men from the ladies' vantage point, because you're the mothers. Most of the life-giving trees. There's times when I used to say you're the life givers, but truth be told, on your own you can't. So I'm gonna say you're a majority of the life-giving tree, because of the fact that you bring the baby to term. I have a daughter. I was there during the pregnancy when her mom was carrying her. It was no solo ride. I'm sure I wasn't feeling what she was feeling, but whatever she felt, she made sure I got my fair share of it. You know what I mean? Some of that is passed on. You know what I'm saying? Whenever and guess what? I always joke around and tell people right now when they're pregnant, I'm like, go for what you want, girl. Because in these 9 months, you get whatever. Nobody's mad at you. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning asking for saltfish flavored ice cream and telling him to go get it. And he's going to try to get it. He's going to fail, but he's going to try to get it. Gabriela says it takes two to tango. So I believe both names should be used like the Spanish culture. Problem solved. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Now, I'll say what I detect from the tone in both persons, man, because a lot of things are culture. People talk about, oh, it's 2021, right? Culture is a crazy thing. And when I say culture, it doesn't mean ethnic culture. It doesn't mean religious culture. It does not necessarily mean even nationality culture. I'm talking about culture from the vantage point of your household, right? A lot of times when people speak like that, that's why you can't always be mad at people. You got to trace the roots, right? Oftentimes, we're probably talking about people who are raised in single-parent homes here, right? There's a hint of bitter running through right there, right? So that's a household culture right there. No, that's also selfishness writing right there, because what you're saying pretty much is, I don't care about my child. I don't care about the future. What I am doing right now is I am going to restrict certain things, right? Because like you're saying, you brought the child to term. It's your baby. You bring the child to life. There's a whole bunch of apostrophes here. My, me, right? So here's the dealie. If that be the case, are you okay with not getting any physical support? In other words, are you okay if when you bring the baby to term and the baby's there, the father's out doing whatever he does, never stay home with the child, never helps changing the child, never helps you take the child to the doctor, never relieves you of the burden so that when you want to sleep, you can get opportunity to sleep. All right. Are you okay with the father never taking any financial responsibility? Because remember the my, like Johnny Gill, right? My, your child that two people created. But it's your child, and you don't have to give the child the last name of that person. And the second person said, I ain't got to do it. It's 2021, which means you're trying to evolve the culture and change the culture and make normal a situation where, okay, you're not supposed to give the child the father's last name. Now, here I will say this. Before even speaking on it, I had the conversation with two people. One lady who did not give the child the father's last name. And I also had the conversation with a lady who was not given her father's last name, right? And the answers that I was given, I was like, well, I could take those answers. All right. Doc says, well, if you take into account the statistic that 7 in 10 of these kids don't belong to the fathers, that too. If somebody says to me they're having a baby and that baby is mine and they're not going to put my child on my name on the baby's birth certificate, right? If I hear that, then guess what I'm going to start thinking? I'm going to roll down the road where Doc is, right? If you are bringing a child into this world that is supposedly my child, but then you are telling me that you're not going to put my name on the birth certificate. We need to establish this from the get-go. So I wish I had the opportunity to talk to the ladies who shared that sentiment. And ladies, if you're on here and you feel the same way, let me know. I like that word, Doc. Jacketarian. I like it. The thing is this. If you establish with me from the get-go that you're not putting my name on the child's birth certificate, I'm there now. I'm the other half. We're not married, according to it. So the issue here is just that we're not married. So I don't know if you're trying to use this baby to strong arm somebody into a marriage or what. But you're saying we're not married. So because we're not married, you're not putting my right? You're not putting my name on the baby's birth certificate because we're not married, right? If that be the case, then at that point in time, I should be allowed. Now, mark you, if he's a good guy, he's not going to do it. But I'm just saying from a devil's advocate standpoint, if you're going to tell the man that you're not putting his name on the birth certificate because he ain't your husband, right? You're relieving him of all duties at that point in time. Because I would say pretty much, okay, so these Lamaze classes, these breathing classes, these doctor visits that you got going on, you're on your own, right? All them things that, putting together these bedroom, painting the bedroom, right? Putting the bed together, whatever, you're on your own. Because obviously that ain't my child, right? Now, everything from me setting up financial resources to make sure this baby's taken care of, on your own, right? Lamaze classes, on your own, right? Oh, 9 months has expired, water broke, you need to go to the hospital, on your own, right? You're in there giving birth, hopefully your family, hopefully whoever is there, on your own. Because you have said to me pretty much, you're not giving this child my last name because we're not married, which ultimately means you're telling me in advance the child ain't mine. So I have one of things to do. One of two things is what I'm going to do here is either try to find out if this child is mine or assume it ain't until proven otherwise. Now, I'm willing to bet the person saying here that I'm not giving the child the father's last name because they're not married. I guarantee you, if you're not together and he's not supporting the child, you don't feel the same way when it comes to that child support. You don't feel the same way when it comes to them taking care of responsibilities. But forget all about the papers and the documentation and whatever the case may be for those reasons, right? What about the child themselves? If that is in fact that man's child, you're making one more step of creating a divide between the child and their father. Because later on, when the child is old enough, if they do decide, of course, it's my dad, I want to be a part, I want to share that sentiment. Now you've raised them with another name. They've got to go through efforts to go get their father's name. And on top of that, guess what's going to happen later on? You have raised them with this one name. And when they decide that they're going to go get the father's name right now, you're probably going to take offense now. probably will take offense now because, okay, what is it? I didn't do what I was supposed to do, right? I'm your mama, I've been here, blah, 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 blah. I know you want to go get dad's last name, right? So I'm sitting here saying to myself, the hell? Lorna says that's selfishness. His sperm, you are the carrier, but without the dad, you couldn't do it. Then I agree, no support from that. And I'm saying it figuratively too, not just from a financial standpoint. I'm talking about you are putting out there that you want to be a single mom and you want to raise this child on your own. If you go through that effort and those efforts to have a man that is there, but he's just not your husband, and tell him that no, he cannot have his name on the birth certificate. You crazy, right? Ladies, talk to me. Lorna, I appreciate that viewpoint. And it's so accurate. Again, I'll say that's selfishness, she says. This sperm, his sperm, you are the carrier. But without the dad, you couldn't do it. Then I agree. No support from the dad. Now, here's the thing. I spoke to a lady who gave her child, who did not put the child's father's name on the birth certificate, right? And here's what her reason for doing it was. The child's father was absent from the get-go. From the time she got pregnant, father was gone. No, the communication wasn't there. Exhibited that he wasn't wanting to be a father, not going to be a father, and so forth, right? Then she had a decision to make. She has a child coming into the world that she's going to have to put through school and other legal stuff and set up finances for her and make sure that when it's time for when transition comes and she goes away or she dies or whatever the case may be, or something happens later on, that her daughter doesn't go through certain issues. So she did it to make sure that when it was time to get this child a passport, get the child their social security card, get the child into school, take the child out of school, change the child from school to school, right? Try to get financial assistance for the child and so forth. She made a calculated decision that, you know what? If the child has a different last name from her, right? If the child has a different last name from her, the mom, and there's no dad there and whatever the case may be, then it may create some obstacles. And she was 100% right in that regard. Now, mark it, if dad was there, then yeah, you give dad's last name, right? If dad is there, but you're just not married, you give the child dad's last name. And a lot of the hurdles that you're talking about right now, you won't have anyway because you'll all have the same last name and ultimately probably even you two will have the last name, right? But if it's a situation where it's established from the get-go that he's not going to be there, he's not going to be a presence, he's not going to be a father, then by all means, you don't have to give her the child the last name. And it actually will save you the stress. It'll save you a whole bunch of legal issues, all kind of ramifications, all kind of extra money spent later on to go around certain things, all kind of headaches. It will save you by not having that child's birth certificate the father's name on the birth certificate. So for that instant, in that case, in that scenario, I was like, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. And then here's the thing. All worked well because that child grew up into adulthood, grown woman with her own family now, and the father was never a presence. Now, does she know her dad? Yeah. Have they met up, spent time? Yeah, but it's no real relationship and whatever. So I understand that scenario, but the thing with that scenario is that scenario was established from before the baby was born. You knew what time it is. So she had to make a decision. What am I going to do to make this situation better and easier for us, being that there is no dad? So it's not like there was a father there to say, hey, damn, why are you not giving the child my last name? The father was gone from jump. Was a deadbeat, right? So that was established from pre-birth, right? So I understand that. Now, I spoke to a lady who she did not have the father's name on a birth certificate. And when I asked her, she was fine with it and said that her mom did the right thing. And it came up. It was the same situation. It made things easier when it was time for school and all kinds of other stuff. And just like the lady and the other family, the father was totally absent too. So again, in scenarios like those, I feel you. But when you have a scenario where the dad is there, whether you are a couple or not, but that's a dad that's going to be present in that child's life. And who knows, you may get married later on. Are you crazy to say that you're not going to put the father's name on the birth certificate? Had an employee once, and this was on the news, funny enough, so it might still be out there to pull up, where somebody gave birth to a child, did not put the father's name on the birth certificate. The relationship went a little left, but the father was there preparing to be a father, setting up a baby's room. In fact, he was there with her setting up the baby's room at her house and one at his parents' house because he lived with his parents. They were a young couple, probably not even over 23. He was at her house with her and her family, painting the baby's room, setting up the bedroom, putting together everything, making sure that baby was going to be all right. And he was at his house with his family doing the same thing, right? Now, when it was time for the baby to be born, the mom never called him. She went to the hospital, gave birth to that baby, and then gave the baby up for adoption. All of this without the father's consent. All of this without the father's consent. Now, if you've got a father there that's willing and able and excited and wanting to be a dad, whether or not you and the father are in a relationship still, right? And you even feel like you don't want to be a parent, but he's there, why wouldn't you give the child to the father? But you made sure that the father's name was not on the birth certificate so that you could give the child up for adoption, which means all of this was pre-calculated, right? All of this pre-calculated. Gabriella says, sometimes when we keep them away from their identity, it makes the child more curious and perhaps the pasture is greener on the other side, the paternal side. Boom. Yep. He or she may despise the mother. That has happened several times. Right. She also says, I can understand that reasoning, which I'm sure is, speaking to the lady and with both ladies. I agree in the process. I will be transparent with my child, but not bitter, just so I can leave room if ever his conscience is resurrected. Now, the other thing is this too. What if, ready? What if you give the child your last name and then you do decide to get married to the father because that's the route you end up going down? Then what? Have to go through the legal system to give the child both of your last names because now you have a husband and a wife that are indeed the biological parents of this child, and neither of y'all, the child, don't have a name. Make sense? Lorna says, that's only a sperm donor, so the ball is in her court. Absolutely. Problem will arise when the child grows, want to know why she didn't get the dad's last name. Some children will be upset. Give the child his name anyway. Child can always change when they are old enough. Makes sense. Makes sense there, Lorna. I definitely did not disagree with them, though, but just because of the mere fact that it actually worked out just like they said it would. He established from the get-go that he wasn't going to be there, right? And again, if that's a single mother, especially in a country like this, where a lot of the things that you want to do and need to do, it's all paperwork driven, right? Got to go through the legal system for a lot of stuff. It ain't even an easy thing to go pick up a child from school. If something ever happens to that child and that child gets sick at school or got to be taken to the hospital or whatever the case may be, and they need the parent, you sign off as a parent, but you got two different last names, it can make the situation a little difficult. So when you sit back as a woman, shoot, or even a man, whatever, and decide that I have to now think solo, I have to think on my own, I have to be preparing for doing this thing singularly, right? Because the establishment has already been made that daddy ain't gonna be there. Then guess what? You got to do what you got to do, and you got to make those wise decisions in advance. Later on, if he proves that he wants to be there, he says he wants to be there, change of heart, they can always do and give him back his name. Now, what I did learn from both persons, the lady who didn't give her daughter the dad's name, and also the daughter that did, the other lady who didn't get her dad's name, is that the moms never kept the children away from their siblings, because daddy also had a whole bunch of other kids, right? Daddy had a whole bunch of other kids. So the moms never kept the daughter away from the siblings, and that lady was not kept away from her siblings. She had a relationship with the sibling. The dad was just a straight up buster, right? To those other kids too, right? So she knew her family, and the mother of the other lady made sure she knew her family, but not the last. They didn't have the last name, right? And throughout life, all the way up to her adulthood, even then the father still didn't want to. The father wanted to establish himself that I'm the father, but that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Just to be around, especially because the thing with parents, and especially dudes getting older, everybody, they will be gone, absent. The ladies, you can expound on this. They'll be absent. What up, Gene? How's it going? They'll be absent for the entire duration. Emilius, what's going on? Of the child's life. Completely absent for the whole duration of the child's life. But when they get to a certain age and start crossing over that threshold into the golden ages, right? Getting up to those years when you now need your family, you're going to need people to take care of you and help you. You're getting to the cusp of that. Then all of a sudden, people start reaching out and trying to reestablish. Let me not say reestablish, because it never was existing. To establish a relationship with your children and your family. The same ones that you ignored, abandoned, right? All these years when you were healthy and strong and able to do all you can, and actually even able to provide. Now all of a sudden you get to those years that, you're getting old, for lack of a better word. You're getting old. So now you start putting the plan together. Okay, I need to get back in my kids' lives because, I'm going to need them to help take care of me later. I see that happen all the time. Now, at that point in time, those kids do have the right to tell you to go kick rocks. Some people are better human beings than others, and some people just be like, you know what, I'll say it go. There's, I don't hold them in certain esteem or whatever the case may be, but still my father or still my mother. Some people do that, and that's cool. And for the people who say, go screw yourself, that's cool too. I'm 100% with it. But the mindset of, because he's not my husband, right? Because he ain't my husband, because we ain't married, I am not going to give my child the last name, even though the father's a presence in the life, right? Now, neither of these people stated explicitly that that they weren't together. So it is highly likely that if they're dating, you never know, you could end up getting married down the road. But is this a way of strong-arming a man into marrying somebody? Is that the case here? Strong-arming somebody into marriage? Or is that just reckless, irresponsible, despicable thinking? I'm thinking more of the latter. Because people who think like that, normally, if you have conversations with them, their whole way of thinking is off. And for lack of a better word, them kids are screwed. Because folks like those are not normally raising good kids. Them are raised children, everything just like them. Right? So let me know. What do you think? And thank you all so much for all the comments, all the messages. I'm getting them WhatsApps, I'm getting texts, I'm getting the messages on here. Thank you. Lorna said a little of both, right? Again, before I get off of here today, I'm going to tell y'all what to do. I'm going to give away 2 CDs. This is one of them. It's called Reggae Virus, courtesy of Tad's Records, right? First Dose. It has Glenn Washington on here, Chesedek, Sophia Squire, Screwdriver. What? It has Sanchez on here. Little Hero, Anthony Cruz, Mikey Spice, Wayne Wade, Ray Darwin, Junior Farron, Michael Grammy Rose, and of course, Dean Fraser, the OG, is on this CD. All right, so I'm sending one of this to somebody today, right? And then, of course, there's a brand spanking new album out by Dean Fraser that's called Flatbridge. Brand new album. It ain't even out. It ain't even out yet in terms of the full body. And I've managed to secure 2 of those, and I'm going to be giving them out. All right? So I'm going to give them out. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do to get one of them. And we got you. We got you. We got you. We got you. Melfaton says, I think this topic needs more time. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And we're going to be talking about it some more, right? What I will do is I'm going to talk to, I'm going to see if I can get somebody on with me. You know what I mean? So we can have a meeting of the minds. Maybe somebody who's in the professional field of family counseling and family therapy, stuff like that. We'll speak to somebody like that, right? Because you are absolutely right. It's a topic that big and serious. It can't just nah. Right? So, ladies, you let me know. Hey, Dorit, how are you? Dorit said, if you are planning to be a deadbeat dad, your name has no place on a child's birth certificate. Absolutely. On the other hand, the child needs his name if only for identity and heritage. So true. And the thing is, Dorit, which is why I had to commend the lady who did not. She made her decisions. And again, if she's going to raise that child by herself, she needs not incur any additional hiccups, hurdles, headaches, right? Hiccups, hurdles, headaches, the 3 H's. She needs not incur any more of that if the dad has already proclaimed and established that he's not going to be there. He's going to be deadbeat, right? So she needs not incur any more of that. So I am wholly with her in terms of withholding the name of the birth certificate. Because again, at that point in time, she's not doing it to spite the man. She's not doing it to be vindictive toward the man. She's doing it because she's on her own and she's got to make sure that whatever move she needs to make for the child, she doesn't have any hurdles in doing so. So her, 100%, right? And again, what I do credit her for is that she did not keep the child away from her other siblings. So the child knows the family and the heritage and whatever the case may be. It is actually just the dad that's absent. And again, that dad is, even the siblings that she is a part of their lives, the dad is absent from their lives too. Know what I mean? So trust me, I feel her on that. But you definitely want, if you're going to withhold that, then you definitely need to make sure that the child knows their heritage, because the last thing you want is later on the child married to them brother or them cousin, right? Those things happen, and it's crazy. When I say crazy. All right? It is about that time, almost that time for me to get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to first of all say thank you all for rocking out. Thanks for having a good time with us. I appreciate y'all big time. All right? Thank you. Now, the 2 CDs. If you haven't yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type in Homegrown with G. Cole. All right? And any one of the videos, just comment Flatbridge or comment Reggae Virus, right? And somebody, the person who's going to pick the person who the time stamp shows at the earliest. If you've already subscribed to the YouTube channel, it's okay. Just go there. Any video you see there, just type in Reggae Virus, type in Dean Fraser, type in anything correlated. I'll know that's what it is. You can type in CD, anything, because when I go back and check, I'll be checking it from this timestamp on. All right. And then I'll make the link with you. I will go ahead and make sure that we send out the CD. All right. But I definitely want to thank you all. When next